and welcome back. I'm Kazia from Robo Wunderkind, and today we'll be going over how to use sensors to trigger code within the RoboCode interface. Firstly, make sure that your main block is fully charged. Using a fully charged main block ensures you'll have an uninterrupted experience without any connectivity issues. Today, we are going to take a further look at the RoboCode interface. Last time we talked about some basics, made a little driver, and today we are going to explore loops and triggers. Let's have a quick overview of some concepts. A loop is when a specific set of instructions that repeat, either forever or until a condition is met. We call those infinite and finite loops. And a trigger is when an event starts a series of instructions. In the Robo Wunderkind interfaces, triggers are started by the sensors. In this video, we're going to get some hands-on experience on how to create loops as well as how to use triggers in the RoboCode interface. Go ahead and open your Robo Wunderkind app, select the code interface, and create a new project. Okay, we're going to make a simple flashlight first to explore the loops with a button trigger, and then we will add another sensor to see how we can use more complex triggers. So for this project, we are going to need a main block. Make sure that it's turned on and connected, one RGB light, and later on we're going to use the push button and the distance sensor. So let's start with just a simple light. Attach the RGB light to the main block. Okay, pretty simple. Don't worry, we're going to add more sensors later and see what else we can do with the flashlight. So let's head over to our coding interface. Drag and drop two constant light actions onto the coding screen and change the settings. Let's make them different colors and have a lifespan of 3 seconds. Two constant light. Let's make one kind of pink. Put it on D. And then, yeah, very good. Okay, now let's connect them into a sequence. We can press play and look to see what that does. One color for 3 seconds, and another one. Okay, and then now the code is finished. Now, if we add a connection, a second one going back to the beginning, what we just created was an infinite loop, or a loop that will go on forever or until your battery runs out. There's no instructions to tell the code to stop. Okay, so let's press the green button. So it's glowing pink and green. Oh, pink again. Green again. So this is going to go on for quite some time. Okay, so good job in creating your first loop. Now let's end the test code by pressing the stop button. We just created an infinite loop, but we can make it finite, meaning that it will stop for some reason, but we need to give it an instruction for that. So let's open up the triggers in the action dock and add a counter trigger to our loop. The triggers look like stickers or flags, and you can drop them onto the connections. The triggers will help you regulate the connections between actions. This is why we place them onto the connections. So we can drop one. You can tap it and see how many times it repeats. I can say 2 times. Now we can press start again. Okay. You'll see that the counter is changing with your code. Okay, and now it's finished. See how it's now finite? This means that now it's done. Okay, great job. Let's try a few different triggers. Now we're going to add the push button to the build. You'll notice that when I just put it on the main block, you're now going to see the trigger icon pop up. Okay, so to add the button trigger to the connection, we'll have to remove the counter trigger first. You can delete it by picking it up and dropping it into the trash can. Okay. Go ahead and add the button trigger to the connection. Now, what you're also going to want to do is add the light time to infinity. So do that for both. And kind of what's happening here is that the light action will also glow forever. Let's press start and just see what that means. As you'll see last time, remember how it changed colors? Now it's just going to change this one color forever. But how are we going to make the transition happen? Well, we can use a trigger. Now that we have this button trigger onto the first connection, check what happens out when I press start and when I press it. See how the color changes. Okay, very cool. Go ahead and press stop because as you remember, we also set the second light color to forever. Okay. Now, if we want the button to also change the second color back to the first, we'll have to drag and drop the button trigger back onto the second connection. This means that now when we press start, we can see how, press the trigger, oh, there we go, press it again, back to the first. And this will go on forever if you keep pressing the button. All right, go ahead and stop it. Very good. Okay, great. There's different settings for the button trigger. When the button is clicked, which is when the button is pressed and released, and you hear a little click. Then there's the pressed, which is when the button is pressed down and held, and then the release is when the button is released again. Okay, now we're going to add the distance sensor onto the main block. You'll need a universal connector. So let's add this onto the bottom and attach it to the main block. I'm actually going to switch the location of the two. You'll see why. Once the distance sensor is connected, you'll also see some more trigger options pop up in the trigger menu. One of them looks like a brick wall. That's the distance sensor trigger. Okay, so now let's think about how we want to use a trigger with this flashlight. Do we want the flashlight to glow when the button is clicked and the distance sensor detects an object, or when the button is clicked or the distance sensor detects? I'll show it to you both ways. So what happens is either you add the distance sensor trigger next to the push button trigger, or you add it stacked onto the other trigger. So we'll do it both ways, and then I'll show you. So there we have. Now let's try it out. Press the play button. So you'll see it's glowing this one color, and I'm going to press the button, but nothing's going to happen because it's going to need both the button press and the distance sensor to move to the next action. So now I'm going to bring my hand up, and then I'm going to press the button, and it's going to switch to the green. Then it goes back to the red color because it was still detecting on the distance sensor, so it went back up to the beginning. So you can see that for the second one, I did not have to press the button. It was already triggered from the distance sensor. Those are the two ways that you can use or and. Okay, now you've learned how to use sensors and create loops and triggers in the Robo code interface. Next up, we'll talk about the Robo Blockly interface and how to get started with that. See you in the next video. Bye.